NPs having this ability to practice at the top of their license and for them to be able to take great care of patients safely doesn't mean that we as PAs can't. Welcome to the PA is In, the show created by PAs for PAs, where codependency with your supervising physician is a thing of the past, optimal team practice is the future, and physician associate has taken the place of physician assistant as the professional title of choice. I'm Tracy Bingaman, and I'm obsessed with redefining what success as a PA looks like and what it feels like. Here you'll find the mindset shifts, systems, and processes I use to escape healthcare burnout and integrate my work into my life. Work-life balance is a myth, and an integrated life where you thrive professionally, not a balancing act, is the goal here. My mission is to help you to grow into a unicorn PA who loves their job, has abundant energy, time to spare, and work-optional financial freedom. The PA is in. One of my very favorite things about being a podcaster is crossing paths with other incredible podcasters. If you love this show, especially when I share about my experience with healthcare burnout and recovery, you're going to want to check out the podcast, Burnout, What I've Learned So Far, hosted by my friend Meg Letty. Meg is a former CT surgery PA turned advocate for healthcare provider wellness. Turn in to hear how she recovered from burnout and integrated well-being into her life to create a life of dreams, not nightmares. Add Burnout, What I Have Learned So Far with Meg Letty to your podcast queue to start your journey to wellness and healing today. I think probably once a week, if not more often than that, in a community online that I belong to that is filled with awesome PAs from all over the country, I see a post that goes something like this. Is it like this in your area? Where I live, NPs are taking over. All the job listings are written specifically for NPs. If you apply as a PA, you don't get a call back. The legislature is generous to NPs. They have full practice independence in this state, and therefore they are more valuable and easier to hire than PAs in the area. The post goes on to share about the climate and how leadership roles, positions of any kind, and people who are looking to hire are gearing those listings specifically towards hiring nurse practitioners over physician associates. So, the question that I want to address in today's episode, there are two. One, should we as PAs feel threatened by nurse practitioners? And two, what are things that we can do about the current healthcare climate? So first, should we as PAs feel threatened by nurse practitioners? Okay. It feels like at this point I should share that I personally live in an area of the country that is specifically PA friendly as a region. So I live in the northeast part of the country where we have a disproportionate amount of PA programs. Specifically, I live in the Lehigh Valley, which is in the northeast part of Pennsylvania. And here there are a lot of PAs. Certainly, we have a lot of nurse practitioners too. But in our area, we have an exceptional PA program. And the culture of healthcare in our area is PA friendly. Across medicine where I work, PAs are integral and widely accepted parts of the healthcare team. So I haven't specifically experienced this. Certainly, sometimes I see job listings that are specifically for nurse practitioners, but in general, it is a very PA-friendly area that I personally live in. I understand that this isn't true everywhere, and there are certain states, regions, and cultures as a part of the US where PAs are not as accepted, maybe not as prevalent, or not seen as such valued members of the team when it comes to providing patients with exceptional care. All of that I share on this podcast, in this episode in general, is colored by my specific personal experience. So I'm going to try to be as objective as possible, but I thought that it was important for you to know what my experience has been and where I'm coming from specifically about this topic. I don't want to get too bogged down inside this episode in the specific differences between NPs and PAs, whether that's in terms of training or certification. So I will just say this in general. Nurse practitioners are trained in the nursing model of care and licensed by the State Board of Nursing. PAs are trained in the medical model of care and licensed by the State Board of Medicine, at least at the time of this recording. Credentialing, too, differs between NPs and PAs. The other significant difference is that PAs are trained generally and can practice in any area of medicine that their licensure and laws in their state, once they're certified by the NCCPA, allow. I'm honestly not that well versed in the frequency of NPs certifying, but I do know that nurse practitioners early on in their training, even before they apply or choose a specific program, they have to declare a track or a focus of their education, which erects certain boundaries as to the areas of medicine they can practice. So, nurse practitioners choose between categories like adult, acute care, primary care, and pediatrics. So, once they choose that track, their education is focused within that area of medicine. This is different than the PA model, where every PA is trained generally, comes out with the same knowledge base, and then can specialize based on the area that they work in with on the job training in their specific specialty. Bottom line, day to day, NPs and PAs often practice alongside each other inside the same specialty and even perform essentially the same role within that specialty. For example, one of our kiddos is upstairs, has strep right now. And when we called the pediatrician's office to get them a same day sick appointment, there was an equal chance that we'd be scheduled with a PA or an NP or an MD or a DO. And the logistics around the appointment would have been the same. Whoever saw him could have, assessed his symptoms, done a physical exam, ordered any appropriate testing, made a diagnosis, and ordered prescriptions. That would have been the same, just the letters behind the person's name would have been different. So in many areas, not true for every single area of medicine, but in many areas, PAs and NPs function alongside each other, fulfilling the exact same role, which can lead to this question of, what do we do about the situation? Is the legislature where you are more NP friendly? So here is the crux of this episode. Should we, as PAs, feel threatened by our nurse practitioner colleagues? So it really depends on the culture in your area and also the legislature in your state. Are you aware of the laws governing NP practice in your state? And what about the ones for PAs? Do you understand the co-signature and supervising components of what is required in your specific state? I do not have the interest or the inclination to go through state by state what the current regulations are. By the time I got through them, I'd have to go back to the beginning to start again, because rules and regulations are constantly changing and being updated, mostly to our benefit as being able to function at the top of our license as PAs. If the laws and the culture are significantly skewed towards an environment that is NP friendly and maybe even PA hostile or less friendly, it's absolutely something that you want to be aware of, this dynamic, trends in hiring, and the general sort of thought about this in your area. The other thing that might happen is that people don't understand the difference between PAs or NP, and oftentimes people don't keep up with the latest legislature. They might have an outdated view of the legalities of having a PA versus an NP in their office, and that can be an opportunity for you to know the laws, understand the laws, make sure that you personally are compliant, and that you have this opportunity to share with those around you if they're mistaken, or maybe they're operating on outdated information that is no longer adequate for the requirements for collaboration, supervision, co-signature in your specific state. So here's the thing about PAs versus NPs. It's not about us versus them. We are all on the same team here, and the goal of that team is to take care of patients, to provide healthcare access and exceptional care to our patients. NPs having this ability to practice at the top of their license and for them to be able to take great care of patients safely doesn't mean that we as PAs can't. According to the Health Resources and Services Administration, 99 million Americans lack access to appropriate primary care resources. Both PAs and NPs, alongside our MD and DO colleagues, can help to meet this growing need of patients in the United States. Making it this us versus them or about us and them doesn't help us. It doesn't help us advance our cause or our advocacy, and it doesn't help our patients. Certainly, it's not good for teamwork, especially if you have nurse practitioners on your team. So my next question is specific to PAs, read you, improving the environment for PAs in your area. What can we do about the culture of healthcare? What can we do to improve things going forward? So here are 3 things that you can do to improve your situation and the circumstances that PAs are facing in your state and in the United States at large. 1, be a badass, incredible PA. 2, donate to your state and federal PA political action committee organizations. And 3, be an advocate for PAs. So let's break these down one at a time. Be an incredible badass PA is first. First things first, to improve things for yourself and others in your state and across the country for that matter, you can personally be a badass. Being incredible at your job, doing what you do well, taking great care of your patients, and being awesome, that helps everyone. That reputation will extend to others in your area. You will help to set the tone for excellence. Your patients will tell their friends. Your collaborating physician will spread the word to their colleagues within your specialty and inside of other specialties. You showing up every day that you are working and doing the best you can to take care of your patients, to operate at the top of your license to the fullness of your training has incredible positive ripple effects. Your reputation isn't just your reputation. It extends to others in your area, in your state, and across the country. Yes, doing good and doing the right thing is in fact the right thing, but also being awesome at your job is something that you should be doing anyway. But in case you're lacking the motivation to keep showing up as the best version of you, because healthcare is hard and patients are people, and sometimes it's very hard to work with and take care of people, and because burnout is real, this is the reminder that when you show up well at work and when you take really great care of your patients, you are showing up for every single PA and you are improving things for them based on your excellence and with your specific reputation. Number 2, donate to your state and federal PA political action committee organizations. So here's the thing about nurse practitioners. Nurse practitioners were once nurses. And nurses have been around since the dawn of time, or more specifically, since the mother of nursing, Florence Nightingale, in 1820. Relative to the nursing profession, the PA profession is a little baby. We are just growing up. We were born in 1967 as a profession. So nurses have been in existence for 200 years and PAs for around 60, which is a relatively shorter amount of time. Let's look at some of the numbers here. So in the US right now, there are about 250,000 practicing nurse practitioners and 3 million registered nurses. Now, I know we're not talking about PAs as compared to registered nurses, but when it comes to lobbying and dollars and advocacy and moving things forward from a policy standpoint, the nurse practitioner group has the support of this massive nursing community. Right now in the US, we have somewhere between 150 to 165,000 practicing PAs. So when you look at those RN plus NP numbers as compared to PA numbers, this means there are nearly 25 times as many nurses and nurse practitioners who are able to advocate for change and legislation and looking out for their own interests as there are PAs doing the same. I don't want to paint RNs or nurse practitioners in a distinctly selfish light by saying that they're advocating for themselves and trying to advance their licensure and all of those things, because we are doing it too. But I want to highlight this incredible difference in the number of nurses as compared to the numbers that we have as PAs. I've never done this before, but I'm going to share something intimate, literally about my intimates on the podcast. After trying Vibrant Body Company's certified clean first layer bras and underwear, I threw everything else away. Life is too short to wear bras that don't fit. So schedule your virtual fit consultation with their master bra designer, Heidi. You get to zoom, do live measurements, and find the exact right fit for you before ordering. Use the link in the show notes or the discount code Tracy15 for 15% off your Vibrant Body Company order. Make sure you try the thong and the semi-demi everywhere bra. You'll thank me later. We need each person to donate, to sign up to attend your state's day, visiting the state capitol legislators, to get involved at a federal level, to check that box that says donate to the PA Political Action Committee when you're signing up for your AAPA membership or registering for the AAPA conference, or the same for your state or local chapters. If we want to change the landscape for PAs in our area, we have to change the legislature. Dave Mittman shared why this matters and the fact that our laws are essentially the same ones from 1970 when PAs first started practicing. They are overdue for an upgrade, and with the legal system in the US, this means that we need dollars, advocacy, and involvement from you. Advocacy is key and involvement is so important. But I also think when it comes to this, should we be fearful of nurse practitioners and them sort of taking over the world or taking over in the area that we live? A change in mindset is also in order. There are plenty of patients to go around. It doesn't have to be PAs and NPs divided, vying for the best position in the state from a legislative standpoint. I believe that there is room at this table for everyone. Healthcare isn't going anywhere, and we don't have to feel threatened or angry, threatened by or angry with nurse practitioners. There is room for all. This abundance mentality can be hard after years of thinking otherwise. Like you thought about getting into PA school and there were only so many seats, or maybe they graded on a curve and there were only so many A's, or you looked at the stats on passing the pants and you were like, oh, only so many people pass. But try to change from this scarcity mentality. There's only so many jobs. There's only so many patients. There's only so many opportunities to this abundance mentality. There is enough for everyone. There are enough patients for everyone. There are enough jobs for everyone. There are enough seats at this healthcare table for you and for me and for all of our nurse practitioner colleagues also. So give that a try and see what you think about practicing that mindset of abundance instead of scarcity. Number 3, be an advocate for PAs. This can happen inside your microclimate, locally, regionally, and at a federal or national level. Your microclimate is your specific satellite office, practice group, or department. What can you do to advocate for PAs within your specific group or in your organization to advance PA practice? Advocacy is everyone's responsibility. This is something that I'm embarrassed to admit I largely ignored early on in my career. Be on the lookout for opportunities to sit on committees, be invited to the table, ask for a seat at the table, demand kindly a seat at the table. Lead the PAs or advanced practice providers in your organization. I want you to feel knowledgeable enough and empowered to stand up, to raise your hand in that meeting and share your experience, to advocate for PAs, because as you're advocating for PAs, you're also advocating for patients. This is important everywhere, but especially if you could have authored that post that I referenced at the beginning of this episode. If you live in a region of the country that it feels easier to employ nurse practitioners, if you live somewhere where they place a different or possibly higher value on nurse practitioners, it's even more important to be an advocate, to be involved, and to be a voice that gets heard when it comes to this issue. Visibility matters. You have the ability to increase the visibility for PAs in your area based on your involvement and you raising your hand and saying, hey, this exists. I'm here. Here's what I'm doing for patients. Here's what we can do better. Here's how we can improve the way that we're showing up for our patients. We are, as a profession, expecting incredible growth, 28% growth in the coming decade. Now is the time to advocate so all of those PAs graduating, becoming certified, and looking for jobs in your specific area are seen differently than you were when you first started or when you first moved there. We are all in this together, my friend. A rising tide floats all boats, and the tide for PAs, for the perception of, for the employment of, and the influence that PAs have on impacting exceptional patient care, that tide is rising. It's the reason for this show to exist. It may even be the reason that you pressed play on this specific episode in the first place. Listening is great, but taking action is even better. Think of one thing that you can do to provide value, to change the perception or increase the visibility of PAs in your practice, in your town, in your community, or in your area. Talk to your kids and your friends' kids about what PAs do. Present at the local job fair, speak at the local elementary school, and share what PAs are capable of doing and what you do, specifically, uniquely you, on a daily basis. Be vocal and continue to show up every day as the incredible PA that I know you to be. There is room at the table for great PAs and great nurse practitioners. Patients need us all to be able to get that care that they need, and for us to each be able to do what we're trained to do. To diagnose patients, to take care of patients, to treat them. With that abundance mentality, there is no need to feel threatened by our nurse practitioner colleagues. I hope that this encouraged you about the future of the PA profession. I will see you next time on The PA is In. Congratulations, you've just joined an awesome club. By listening to a full episode of The PA is In, you are officially on the Unicorn PA team. Welcome aboard. What most team members do is they subscribe to the podcast because that allows them to automatically get the latest episode of the show. The life of your dreams exists on the other side of taking action. Keep making small shifts and keep getting better. Your life will improve, your career will soar, and you will have the confidence you need to create your own success. I will see you in the next episode. This PA is out.